Hi everybody, I'm Ned Evans at the Craig Crowell Gallery down at Bergamot. The name of the show is called Flux Maze. It's a little confusing, but I sort of have some fun with play on words. It's partly the highly disciplined geometry of this work, sort of got me thinking about mazes and entry and passages in and out of paintings. And at the same time, the paintings are very solid or they're dissolving. So I sort of had this idea of a maze, which is very rigid and definite. And then the flux being a little more liquid. In other words, that maze changing before your eyes once you enter the painting. So it's a very loose association. So this painting is sort of in the middle of this group, and this work took place over the last 4 years. I started in 2016, this painting's from 2019. And it started with my fascination with mazes and grids, but also with Gee's Bend quilts. It's an area in Georgia where these amazing black ladies have been for hundreds of years making these quilts. And most of the time they're made from available materials, used materials. They would get material from Sears. And so the patchwork sort of quality and the way it sort of fractures up the abstract space is what I wanted to capture in these paintings. So these paintings are obviously not quilts, but they have that sort of patched together feeling. I made them shaped because I wanted to loosen up the rectangle and at the same time activate it. This is one of the earliest paintings. It's from 2016. And again, back to quilting and patching. I start with these and I make a huge square in this case, and then I draw on it repeatedly with charcoal and decide where the divisions are. And once that's done, cut it out. It looks as though things are bolted together, but it's actually one solid piece. But on each one of these areas that is delineated, there are separate materials. So I use everything. I use building materials, muslin, canvas, carbon fiber, paper. This is sort of the more neutral tone, and I just wanted to deal with the structure on that one. And that's how that one started out. When I started these, they became very rigid, and I was doing very neutrals, and then I started to want to open them up. And to open them up, I thought, well, every area doesn't have to be a geometric delineation. So I started to use pieces of paper that I had collaged and spray painted. This is actually a digital image of a wave that's been blown up and pixelated. So it's back to my reference to the ocean, and the quality of these and the light is much more airy, and the color. I wanted to open up and make them breathe more. So this one here is on 300-pound Arches paper, and again, it's a very heavyweight paper, which allows me to do these incisions and have it still be rigid. So again, I start with the rectangle, do the drawing, and very loosely lay out these sort of delineations, and sometimes they look like letters, but they're more architecturally referenced. And then the color is totally immediate and improvised, and not preordained in any way, and so it's a lot to do with the way the edges react next to each other and the color and how that sort of bounces and moves each other. And the gouache sort of makes it so easy to do that. You can get that real, I mean, in this case, very intense color. So this painting is, again, an attempt to sort of take that grid or the maze and sort of put it into flux. So I start off with a real washy area and just sort of using all these stencils to sort of diffuse the plane. In other words, everything becomes very atmospheric when I start, and then areas start to solidify, and I kind of go back in and loosely define it. So back to Flux maze, it's sort of the tightness of the maze and then the flux, and everything that happens in between that is sort of what these paintings are about. Back again to wanting to sort of break away from the grid, I use a lot of pieces these are all on high density foam, and then they're resined. There's a composite resin. So again, the malleability of the foam, I'm able to cut out and start with these sort of broken shapes, and I wanted to break up the maze or the grid again. So I call these shards because they're like little, if you cracked an egg, it'd be part of that eggshell. And in this case, if you crack a painting, I would pull out a section of the painting. And so they're resin, acrylic, oil, beeswax, a little more sensuous surface because it's not canvas.